Good afternoon. I am Nehemiah Jefferson, America's tax attorney, and I'm excited as always to have my esteemed colleague, Jamila Little, join me for a discussion, relatively hot discussion, hot topic discussion of the day. Hello, Jamila, Attorney Little, should I say. How are you?
I am doing well. Good afternoon, Attorney Jefferson. All is well in my world over here. How are you? How has your week been?
I am well. It has been a somewhat easy week for me, but of course there are lots of things to do. But I am well. I'm excited. I got some exciting news today. I'm looking forward to sharing more of that exciting news in a couple of days. So I am really feeling pretty good today.
Awesome. So there's been a lot going on in the news, and
Indeed.
yeah, in my world, in the immigration world, there's been a lot going on, and I think just generally, it affects everything across the board. So we could definitely have an interesting conversation today. We're here in Florida, and
Yes.
SB1718 is alive and kicking. We're going to talk about that. And today is the end of Title 42. And we're going to talk about that as well. So I don't know if you want to say anything
Yeah.
else to get off. I wish we had some more people on, maybe have some comments in the chat. Somebody says, hey, like something. Something. Yeah.
Well, hopefully some more people will join soon. But actually, you mentioned Florida Senate Bill 1718, right? 1718.
Yeah. Florida Senate Bill 1718.
Couple of days ago, maybe it was yesterday, perhaps yesterday or the day before yesterday, I was sent a video. It was a TikTok video, and there was this individual talking about
Was it
an
my video?
immigration law.
Was it
An
my
im-
video? I did a TikTok video on it.
oh, okay.
I
Well, with
did.
this
I did.
this individual sent this TikTok video to me, and the person in the TikTok video was talking about what was going on in Florida related to immigration, and I basically told the individual I had no knowledge about what was going on, but the video was describing or showed a number of commercial and residential developments that had been abandoned or supposedly, allegedly, had been abandoned. And the concern was, or the premise of this abandonment were related to the workers or perhaps undocumented workers. And so, can you sort of talk about what Senate Bill 1718 is, Florida Senate Bill 1718 bill is, and what the possible effects of that bill is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Senate Bill 1718 was has been signed already by Governor DeSantis. And I'll just kind of go through the things. It certainly is a bill targeted at immigrants, illegal immigrants, or undocumented immigrants. And I'll just jump right in to talk about some of the things that it affects. So you mentioned abandoned buildings and workers. One of the things that it targets is employers. So employers who employ over 25 employees now have mandatory reporting through something that is called e-verify. So they have to report through this
Right.
e-verify system. So essentially e-verify is a system where you can actually input, in order to work here in the US, you have to have a work permit or you have to be an LPR, lawful permanent resident, or a citizen. And so there's certain documents that you would have, like a social security number. For
Right.
people who are not allowed to work because they don't have a work permit or they're undocumented, then they don't have that information to be able to put into the e-verify system, right? So it targets employers who have 25 or more employees, and they're now required to use this e-verify system. Okay. There
Okay.
are also penalties for employers who employ undocumented immigrants. It can, I believe, the fine is $1,000 per day, according to SB 1718. So those abandoned offices that you saw could just be people who, obviously saw this coming and decided that they would leave. I actually had a couple clients who actually came to the office to figure out what was going on with that. And so I think it has hit the immigration world and the immigrant population really, really hard. It is a tough bill. It also criminalizes the transportation of undocumented. Let me say you have to be aware that they are undocumented. So you have to have the intent to transport undocumented immigrants into the state of Florida. So there was an initial version of this bill that made it or intended to criminalize just having an undocumented immigrant in your home or in your car. Well, that was not included in the final version, but the final version does have a section where it does make it, I believe it's a third-degree felony to transport an adult undocumented immigrant into the state of Florida. That becomes a second-degree felony if it's a minor. There are a lot of other things in the bill. I'll just go through them really quickly,
Okay.
not to take up a lot of time. But there is a requirement now for medical providers, or let me say hospitals who accept Medicaid, to now provide or collect information on people's status. So that's going to be really interesting. I kind of wonder how much, if you think about for the good of society, how many undocumented immigrants now would choose just not to go to see about whatever illnesses they might have. And, we just came out of a period of a pandemic where COVID was something that was spread so easily. It was airborne. And you really don't want to discourage people from actually seeking medical attention. So I think that section of the bill is something that would certainly discourage undocumented immigrants from seeking medical attention. It also, this is an interesting one though. So it defunds certain entities that produce identification for undocumented immigrants. But what is interesting is it also creates a barrier for undocumented immigrants who are coming to Florida with IDs or driver's license that are issued in other states. So that's interesting, because you would think that, you have a state issued ID or driver's license from Florida. I should be able to go to New York, right, and to use this ID. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out, especially maybe with people who might be traveling and get an ID from one state, and they're not like they're not LPRs, but maybe they've been here for some time and they're
What is the
traveling.
LPR?
Sorry, lawful permanent resident.
Okay.
Or even visitors. Some states have different rules that may allow visitors to get a driver's license. So it's just going to be interesting to see how that plays out as we actually have this implemented on July 1st. So just big picture, those are the things that SB 17. There are a couple more things in there, like mandating DNA extractions for people who have immigration detainers. They may be arrested and they have an immigration detainer, and now there's a mandate for extracting DNA um, from them. So there's some more things in there that are concerning. Um, but I think more so the thing that a lot of people were really concerned and maybe even scared about was a lot of the population in Florida. They have maybe even undocumented immigrants as family members, and they may live with them. And so that was a big concern. I just want to say that's not part of the bill. It's not a crime to live with your parent or aunt or uncle who may be undocumented, to live with them, to have them live in your home. So I just want to put that out there because I think this was like a big scare to the immigrant community.
Well, regardless of, well, let me say this. I've often commented to various individuals that I understand both sides or multiple sides of the various immigration debates that we have. But one thing, hopefully, everybody can agree on is that in order for us to solve the challenges centered around immigration, whatever they may be, there's got to be accountability. And so it sounds like to me, at the very least, Florida Senate Bill 1718 brings about accountability for both the employer as well as the potential employee or undocumented individual.
I think more so, yeah, certainly I would agree. I would agree. Um, I think more so for the employers. And I'm curious because I know that you are a tax attorney, entrepreneur. Just how do you see something like this really impacting? And even like as a business owner myself, it has been and it has been difficult
Yeah.
really finding and maintaining good employees. So for those businesses that do hire undocumented immigrants, or even just for businesses in general, how do you see that? You talked about seeing this empty building. Like, how do you see that really impacting businesses, maybe small businesses?
Well, regardless of whether people may believe in a certain theory, I'm going to use the term or terminology anyway, and it's called trickle down economics. Now, some
Right.
people may not believe in trickle down economics, but let me see if I can make the argument for trickle down economics very, very simple. And actually recorded a video earlier today that we will release at some point. But it's simple. If if you hire an individual and you pay that individual a salary, that individual could help you accomplish your goal as an employer, whatever that might be. That might be that human capital has a certain value, and that human capital is an investment. That human capital can help sell sell more product, sell more services, benefit the owner or the shareholders or stakeholders of the company. That company can then expand, go out and borrow money, hire more workers, so on and so forth. Well, those workers, they have to take care of their families. And so they have to go out and buy houses, they go out and buy cars, they purchase groceries, and in doing so, that money circulates in the economy. So truly, a person who earns a salary, who spends money, is going to have a profound or their own effect in a small way on the overall the overall economy. So there is this trickle down effect that takes place because if I'm able as an employer to expand my business and hire more workers and grow my business, that then trickles down to those individuals and their families being able to take care of their families and and do what they need to do for their own sake. Now,
Yeah.
I didn't go into a whole lot of detail. So taking that, I guess, um, tying that into your question, if you have if you have businesses who are unable to find workers, undocumented or documented, then obviously that can have an overall effect on the economy. If right now in Florida we don't have a we don't have a quote unquote housing crisis, but there was a short period of time, as you well know, maybe about a year ago, where there was a lot more demand
Yeah. Tell
than
me
there
more.
was supply.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we've seen supply catch up with a little bit more of demand, and the market has changed. But still, we even though that is the case, we still see a very healthy market as far as the prices are concerned. So, but if a builder is unable to obtain workers and build or get supplies to continue that trend, then we can run into different challenges.
Yeah. You know, I I'm not, I don't advocate open borders. I'm not saying it's right for people to come, to the US illegally. I don't support breaking laws, period, right? We're attorneys.
Mhm.
Um, but I'll say this, the thing is that we have millions, millions of undocumented immigrants, and there needs to be a solution. There really, really needs to be a solution. And if there is shortages in employment, in shortages in workers, in good workers, if we have a untapped workforce,
Right.
that there's some way that we can somehow, like you said, have some sort of win-win situation. And I don't know what it is specifically, but just food for thought. These, millions of undocumented immigrants who are already here, you know.
Yeah,
So
it is a I don't think it's as complex to resolve as many would have you to believe or have Americans to believe, regardless of, again, which side of the debate you may be on. I don't think it's as complex to resolve. First and foremost, we need to get back to understanding that we have more than anything a humanitarian crisis in this country. And until we get back to seeing
say it again.
people as human beings,
Absolutely.
then we're going to continue to see or continue to have some of the problems that we have. So I would venture to say that most people that are showing up at the border are showing up because they would rather take a chance that they're
Mm.
going to have a better life someplace home, someplace away from where they were born or wherever they're coming from, because the conditions here in the United States are better. And so we have to recognize that for the most part, not all. I mean, I know that we have some
Yeah.
criminal activity that takes place at the border, a great deal of criminal activity that takes place at the border. But for those individuals who are coming for to flee their current conditions, we have to be mindful that that is happening, that is taking place. But then also, I think there needs to be a concerted effort to put forth the premise that there must be a way that you come to this country. Like you just have
Yeah.
there are people who have been waiting, and they've done it the right way, have been in line. And so I don't necessarily think that just because you show up, you get to go to the front of the line or should be able to go to the front of the line. But the solution is not as complex or not as difficult as one might think it would be. I think if we first understand that we need to make sure that we treat people as human beings first and foremost. And if we have that mindset, we will do the right thing, and then everything will sort of fall into place.
Yeah, I mean, there's it's a complex situation. I would say, and this is probably a great segue into the end of Title 42.
Oh yes.
So, yeah, so Title 42 was issued under um, the CDC Public Health Authority, really, when COVID started, is was one of the emergency orders um, for COVID, right? And it contained a lot of different sections. There were grants and money and health stuff. And one of the things that it did include, or I could say affected, was the border. Obviously, having people come through the border at that point in time was it was a pandemic, so it was really a health hazard, and so pretty much things were shut down, right? So asylum, for the most part, people coming through the border that way was put on a halt. And there have been things, as you said. So Title 42 ends today, or 11:59 p.m.
Yeah.
Um, so what that means is that there probably are going to be people waiting to come. The Biden administration has started or implemented a couple programs, I think, to try to get ahead of that. And as you mentioned, people coming in an orderly fashion. There is the parole program that was opened um, for Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela. And then there's another program that's going to be open for some other countries, including Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, where people would have the opportunity to, as you say, come legally. It is still going to be a waiting process, because I know for the parole program, we have some clients who did apply, and this is earlier this year, and they're still waiting, but it may be a band-aid. I don't know if it's a solution
Mhm.
long term, but it definitely, I think, is a step in the direction of allowing people the opportunity to come to the US without having to feel like um, they have to come through illegal means.
I agree. I can't wait to have a conversation with you further regarding this topic of immigration, because I think it will continue to be a hot topic going forth until
Definitely.
we see more solutions, both to deal with the border issue as well as to deal with those individuals who are already here,
Absolutely.
and some through obviously through no fault of their own.
Yep. We have a huge number of DACA dreamers here as well. So, yeah. So,
Exactly. Well, I look forward to having our next conversation. This has certainly been extremely educational for me. I always enjoy learning more about different topics, and I think getting the video that I received the other day was prompted me to reach out to you to have this conversation. So this has been awesome. This has been
I definitely
awesome.
appreciate it.
And we look forward to doing this again on next Thursday. And for those of you who want to have us talk about various topics, just send us a message, visit our website, or get in contact with us. Certainly, if you have any immigration or personal injury needs, contact Attorney Little. If you have any concerns related to taxation, you can reach out to us at America's Tax Attorney. We will see you again on next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.